Hi, this is Joyce Polino-Crane. I'm the news director at WestfordCAT. I am here today with Jim Henderson, treasurer and general counsel for Yes On2 campaign, the Yes On2 campaign. And welcome, Jim. Nice to meet you.
Glad to be here.
So I wanted to speak with you because there was a rally on the Westford Town Common on Saturday, and it was opposed to question number 2. So I did do an interview with the person who organized that rally, and I thought it's only fair to call you and get your side of the story regarding ranked voting.
I, again, appreciate the outreach and glad to answer all your questions.
All right, well, I have none because I don't understand exactly what ranked voting is. I think I have a general concept of it. So maybe you could explain to me in the audience.
Yeah, so very quickly. So from the voting experience, the voters do the following. Instead of voting just for one person right now, the voter has the opportunity to rank as many candidates as they want in any race, state level race that has 3 or more candidates. And so if there was a Democratic primary with 9 candidates, for instance, for any of you who remember 2 years ago, instead of just voting for one candidate, you could actually rank up to all 9 or any subset of that group as you wish. And so that's the voter's experience. And then the key part of that is in order to win a ranked choice election, you have to earn over 50% support from the voters.
Right.
So again, Lori Trahan, when she won her Democratic primary in the 3rd Congressional District 2 years ago, did so with under 22% of the vote.
Right.
Jake Auchincloss did the same thing this year in the 4th Congressional District, winning a 9-person race with 22% of the vote. In order to win a ranked election, you have to garner over 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how that happens is that if no candidate gets over 50% support in the initial tabulation, just like now, we go through into an instant runoff process where the candidate who comes in last is dropped out. And now we're going to retabulate the ballots as if we're having a runoff election.
Mm-hmm.
The people who voted for that last place candidate, we now retabulate their ballots looking at their second choice. And then we do that process again. Does anybody have 50%? And if the answer is no, then we look at who comes in last again. They get eliminated. And we just repeat that process until someone gets a majority.
And why is this better than the regular way of voting?
Well, again, right now we saw, and again, the examples I gave of these 2 different Democratic primaries, we have candidates who won their elections with nowhere close to majority. I mean, I grew up, again, under the concept that the majority rules.
Mm-hmm.
The majority is 50%. Mm-hmm. And we regularly have elections, again, with 3 or more candidates, where the winner of the election gets under 50%. And those Democratic primaries show it can be very significantly under 50%. And that means, again, you could say Lori Trahan won with 22% of the vote. That means that 78% of the voters in the district did not vote for her.
Right.
Same thing in the 4th Congressional District. And so we're not even close to majority. And one of the benefits out of ranked choice voting is that it requires the candidates to appeal to a broader audience. They can't just look at who is their base and say, hey, if I can get my base, I can say, forget everybody else. I can actually win that election by getting something under 50%. In a ranked election, you have to appeal to more voters. And you have to do so in a more positive way, because you're going to have to not only seek out the first place votes of people who like you, and that's certainly your top priority, but you also have to perhaps reach out to other candidate supporters to get their second place, maybe even third place votes, because those are the votes that may get you over that 50% threshold. And so you have to speak positively about what you stand for, perhaps even find common ground with other candidates, and ultimately appeal to a broader group of people. Because again, you have to earn that 50% 50% threshold in order to win the election. And a candidate who wins with that over 50% support can go into office, whether it's a state rep seat or the governor's seat or a seat in Congress, knows they do so with the support of, again, a majority of their constituency, which gives them even more, a stronger voice in that setting, because they know they're representing the voices of their constituents. And go ahead.
Oh, no, well, I was going to say, before we started recording this, you've mentioned that you've been doing this work in favor of question 2 or ranked choice voting for quite a number of years. Did you say 22 years?
Oh, well, again, probably closer to 17 or 18 years. The issue came up in my mind in an election back in 2002, when there was an election where I supported a candidate, but it felt like that the votes had been split amongst candidates who had a similar perspective. And a candidate who did not, in my opinion, and there's no way of proving it, who did not have the support of the majority, won the election, and then there's actually a primary, and went on to lose that general election. There are a couple of things that we hear about in elections that ranked choice voting solves. Is the issue of spoiler candidates, where people who garner a small percentage of the vote somehow spoil the election for somebody else. Or voters being told that, oh, you can't vote for Jim Henderson because you'll waste your vote if you do so.
Oh, I see.
And so voters are essentially have to strategize. They may like what Jim Henderson has to say, but if they're told you'll waste your vote, do they have to now choose for them the lesser of two evils?
Right.
In a ranked election, the voter is freed to rank the candidate they like most first, knowing that if Jim Henderson doesn't win, that their second choice will apply. And so you don't have to worry about wasting your vote. You don't have to worry about spoiler candidates. I mean, you may have heard there are some states in this country right now where Kanye West has been put on the ballot. And it's not with the idea that Kanye West is going to win the presidency, but it was done almost explicitly to draw voters away from another candidate. And it's sort of this sort of game playing we see in American politics is fostered by our existing election system. And ranked choice voting is one solution to sort of bring some more confidence in our democratic institutions. And so, again, if voters don't have to worry about wasting their votes, candidates don't have to worry about splitting the vote amongst themselves. Again, I'll use the example of the 4th Congressional District. I know it's not where we live. But a couple candidates actually dropped out of that race because they were worried about splitting the vote amongst similarly situated candidates. And the problem is that those two candidates dropped out after mail-in balloting had already started. So people who had in good faith voted for them, their votes essentially disappeared. And in a ranked election, they wouldn't have to.
So that's what compels you to keep on going with this work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we will. I think we can really improve our democracy by making this fairly simple and straightforward change in how we vote.
Now, does the ballot look different because of how does the ballot, how do the ballot appear on the ballot?
The ballot, well, again, different localities that use ranked choice voting do it differently. So I'll use Maine as an example, because they are their election for Senate and their 2 congressional races up there are subject to ranked choice voting, and their ballot looks like if you ever did a standardized test with the bubbles. They have a column for the first choice and a column for the second choice and a column for the third choice. And you basically fill in the bubble. So you fill in one bubble for your first choice, and then you fill in another bubble for the second choice. And so that's how the state of Maine has designed their ballots for ranked choice voting.
That's nice. That's helpful to visualize that. So,
Yeah.
so before we close, I just want to ask you if there's anything that you would like the residents of Westford to know.
Again, the goal of our campaign and the goal of the efforts that the volunteers around the Commonwealth have been doing to put forth ranked choice voting is to, in a nonpartisan way, make sure that the voters' voices are heard. We talk about giving more choice and more voice to the voters. And ultimately, that's what our goal here is that by empowering the voters, I don't care what party wins the elections. I may have my personal choices, but at the end of the day, I am committed to the idea that the majority rules. And if the majority of the town of Westford or the 3rd Congressional District or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts elects somebody I don't like, I know that our institutions have worked right because, again, the majority rules. And we can accomplish more and have more confidence in our government when that occurs.
Has this question ever appeared on the ballot before?
Well, not in Massachusetts. This is the first time that ranked choice voting. The bills supporting ranked choice voting have appeared in the legislature for the good part, as far as I know, of the last 20 years. We've worked very hard over the past 4 years to get to this point. We collected well over 130,000 signatures in 2 different times to get this on the ballot this time around.
Wow. So that's amazing, 130,000.
A lot of work, exactly, but a fantastic group of volunteers really in every corner of the state helping us out, which will happen again tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Jim. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And
you're very welcome.
So for WestfordCAT News, this is Joyce Polino Crane.